This is Old Swan, an area that at a glance hasn't changed much, but compare its streets, shops and buildings to what it was over a decade ago and we see clear changes in Old Swan's appearance. When you pass through Old Swan, you're more than likely to spend most of your visit sat at the lights. And part of the reason for all the daily congestion? Tesco. Tesco was more of a loss to Old Swan than a gain. It may have boosted convenience, but since it opened, it's caused masses of traffic in an already built-up area.
I feel that Old Swan has been butchered to suit Tesco rather than people who live and work here. In particular, the amount of traffic lights and the railings, it's just made Old Swan an obstacle course. And we just can't get about our business. We can't go from A to B. We've got to go all over the place to try and even cross the road. So for me, Tesco's been a negative influence on Old Swan. And I do feel that the planners and whoever put up the traffic management and the railings, it's an omni-shambles. And I would like them to be accountable for it.
These are some of the supermarkets that have turned up in Old Swan over the past 10 years. And despite the increase in these mostly discount stores, Old Swan streets are still home to many small, independent businesses. But amongst all these small businesses, one has proved that still to this day it can fight with the bigger shops. Richie's has been in the Swan for over 40 years and is essentially a very successful anything you want shop. But for years now it's been bearing the brunt of the damage Tesco has done to Old Swan.
Everybody is a bargain hunter. Everybody is. I live in St Oswald Street from when I was about 6.
Yeah.
I've worked for 5, 7 employers one way or another in St Oswald Street. I've been a bus conductor that served St Oswald Street on 3 or 4 routes. Well, I've been trading since 68, so we've probably been since 68, so that's 32, 48 years now. We started off at the Barra, then we had the fruit shop next to the post office, and we had a fruit shop at the bottom of St Oswald Street. So at the time we had 2 fruit shops going, and then we moved up to, that's why hence the name Fruitique Boutique, because we called our shop, when we started in the 70s, whatever it was, everything was Eeks at the time, so we called ourselves Fruitiques Boutique. So we're from that, I think I opened that one about, well this one now, that was around about 75, so that's 41 years I've been trading doing this one. When we first started over there, the block was full. We had like Swinton Insurance was next door, and they were mad busy. They were a busy organisation. We had Florist, she was doing well. Then we had, I don't really remember the pork shop, Mrs Savage.
And the little chemist as well.
Well, there was the chemist was always there. And then the bottom block, we even had the bakery on the bottom block, remember, next to the fruit shop. We had men's shops. There was a full range of shops. And it was a range of shops. Not only was there a range of shops here, but there's also the range between here and the post office, and then right along the Swan. From the Swan being as busy as it was a very big stop-off point. But people would come in from Dovecot, Huyton, Page Moss area, Dovecot. This would be a big stop-off point, because in the Swan at the time, say we're talking now, what would we talking, mid-90s, you had 3 good shoe shops, you had lots of lady shops, you had all the supermarkets at the top end, which was Quickie and all the rest of it. They were all working there. So it was a big stop off All Mankind at the bottom. Instead of going into town for a pair of jeans, they stop off at All Mankind, Greenwoods, they had all the places like that, and then all the various other shops, but satellited off it like. Don't forget there was all the other shops at the bottom of St Oswald Street.
And you could cross the road.
Oh, you could walk over the entrance, there's the thing there. That's where we used to walk through. They used to drive into the flats there, remember?
Yeah.
That's still cut over there now. In the early 90s, it was always muted that the flats were coming down, and then for about Well, there was the uncertainty of it all. I think we moved out of there in 1999. The council sold the land. They sold the land to then the developer, which was Taylor, right? And we were on at every single meeting about it we were at. They sold it to him, and on the pretext that we were going to have a big shopping mall here, a shopping mall as in sort of Clayton Square style type of thing, you know, with a ground tenant being a Tesco or a major supermarket. We all knew that was going to be a joke. We all knew that this was going to be a nice tree-lined avenue where we were going to have cafes over there where they're all sitting out and all the rest of it. We knew that was never going to happen. We knew once Tesco's had made the mind. Anyway, when he came in once, he said, Tesco's had made me an offer. He said, it took me 10 seconds to accept the offer. So I've taken it now, so it's going to be a Tesco supermarket. And if you look at it now, I'm in stereo with 2 supermarkets. Right, nice big car park over there. Some of my customers do use it. Some of my customers do use down the back. When we dealt with the people in Tesco, you could see they had a railroad thing about them. They had this thing where you're nothing, you know. They come along and he said, well, we want to get an extra floor built, a mezzanine floor put in there. And he said, well, what we'll do is we'll come along and we'll help you with your signs. We'll give you all a couple of £1,000 each to get new signs. Yeah. And then we'll take all the business. They wanted to finish the high street. And at the time, when that was all going on, Tesco were the boss. Their plans was to get so many square feet, which covered them so that they could cover every shop on the high street. Every shop up and down here. That includes the haberdashers, the wool shop, the man round the corner, the chandlers, the chemist, everybody, every shop, butchers, every shop that was on the high street they could cover. So they sucked all the good from all the businesses. They covered phone shops, they covered everybody. They were actually talk about the post office moving in, and it was actually a talk of where that gap is now, where the bus stop is opposite the post office. That was supposed to be the library moving along. Right? Once you're at the library, I'll just nip into Tesco's. For the whole high street scenario is the fact that they can stay open till all hours. One stop. Oh, what's the bother shopping round? One stop. Got everything in there you want. I think there's about 14 charity shops in the Swan now, the last check we done. Like that. Now, I know it's systematic, or it's symptomatic of all the high streets around the country where there is charity shops and all the rest of it. But those charity shops are now selling new as well. They're selling new products. They're selling socks. They're selling new products, which is basically against the law, because they can't sell new, because they're not registered, they're not VAT registered, they're not, right?
Not paying the same as what you're
Well, they're not paying the same rates, they're not paying it. So it's unfair business in many respects. You see people go to the car park and they say, oh, I've got to walk all the way around. And then don't forget, if you've got an aged customer base like I have, that's a massive walk. There was extra few hundred yards just nipping across here. They could just nip, that was open, you see. But people could just walk across from Tesco's there. But that's for people to walk out, to go straight across. But they blocked that off, they come along, they blocked that off for whatever reason.
I addressed the issue of the fence to Mayor Joe Anderson, who lives in Old Swan. However, he only referred the issue to one of his council officers, who sent this response. The guardrail has been installed to channel pedestrians to a safe crossing point. He then goes on to say that people should not vault this, as it is incredibly dangerous to do so. The council officer finally states that making an area safe and easy to visit will actually promote trade. But this just doesn't add up. So, to demonstrate what Richie meant about his shop being so hard to get to, I took the hike that any of his customers who can't jump the fence have no choice but to complete. The fact that some have to walk the opposite way to where they're going to shop locally is strange, and it definitely was strange for me when I was doing this walk, because I'm obviously someone who just jumps the fence. Amongst all the congestion, Old Swan has some great buildings. However, we've still lost some iconic architecture in the past, most notably St Oswald's House and the Regent Cinema. But in 2015, the Swan lost one of its most iconic buildings, built in 1936, the former Curzon Cinema. As well as losing a traditional building to something really modern and, in my opinion, quite ugly, The Swan has also lost the community that it had. We used to have a Woolworths on that end of the Swan, an Ethel Austin. Home and Bargain actually owned the whole of the building. But then when Woolworths shut down, Home and Bargain moved into where Woolworths was. It's a shame because that end of the Swan was really thriving end. I remember when I was a kid walking down there, and the man used to be there playing the bagpipes, and it used to be dead busy. But just over these past few years, it's gone really, really down, and it has lost the community that it had. Of course, it's now going to be dominated, the whole of that site, by a Home and Bargain. So I'm just coming to Prescott Road now, where they've obviously knocked down the old cinema, and they've built this new building in its place. But it's actually not going to be 5 separate units now. It's going to be a whole Home and Bargain that's going to be selling fresh fruit and veg, and it's rumoured that it's going to have a cafe in it as well. So obviously we've got the Home and Bargain there. There's the fruit shop, which has been here for many, many years. It's a small business in the Swan. But here in this huge, ugly building, that is not going to be loads of small businesses anymore. It's just going to be one big Home and Bargain, which is going to completely dominate Old Swan. But it's also going to affect this small business here. We've heard rumours that Home and Bargain have tried to buy this shop, and the owners have refused. I think that it's quite sad that we've lost small and big businesses down that end of the Swan, and we've lost a big 1936 Art Deco building. Named after a public house from the 18th century, Old Swan owes much of its heritage to its past and present pubs.
The rain falls hard on a humdrum town. This town has dragged you down. Oh, the rain falls hard on a humdrum town. This town has dragged you down.
When I was started to go out drinking, it was quite the norm to even go out straight from work on a Friday. Probably a little bit later, when I was 19, 20, I think, yeah, round about then. It kind of took off as a kind of a place to go, Old Swan. The old Red House was done up into a pub called First Avenue, you know, for the time, trendy looking, like sort of lights and neon stuff inside and all like that. Barmaids with uniforms on and stuff, and that was like became a bit of a trendy pub, and then that kind of became a bit of a magnet for Old Swan, and the other pubs got popular as well. But within the group, like within the Old Swan pubs, there was still kind of like the signet was still a bit grotty. You could still walk up to St Oswald Street to the omnibus and that'd be like off the pace a bit, and that was a bit down market as well. Well, I don't get down there that often, but it's not like it used to be, like a bit of a place to go. It's not like people used to come from Knotty Ash, Huyton, Dovecot, Kenny, wherever, to go to the Swan back then. I don't think they do that now. The Red House is obviously closed now as a Costa, not closed, but it's a Costa Coffee, it's not a pub. The Signet's shut. There's only what you call the Old Swan, what we used to call the White House. The Masons are still going. The Black Horse is still going. It's good that there is, still some pubs there open, and there is still a bit of a pub social scene and that. I'm just thinking back to when the Red House was the First Avenue, and the Masons and all the White House and all them were dead popular. And they were really popular, and they were always full, and all over the weekend and all like that. Was livelier, was a bit more vibrant. I think it probably means like it has had its day.
All in all, the Old Swan of today isn't what it used to be, though some would argue that's a bad thing. For many, the Swan will always remain their congested...
We just can't get about our business, we can't go from A to B. We've got to go all over the place.
And dominated...
They sucked all the good from all the businesses, Tesco were the boss.
Home.